Hello, and welcome to an adventure like no other. Far more than what you have known, there is something far more to be known than you can ever know. And it is all about you, the real you, your real awareness with your intuitive senses. You were never taught that the real you, your real awareness, is operating 5 bodies in cause and effect, restricting creation. You have been taught to think that you are only a one-dimensional human person, with a mind and emotions, and with a very short lifespan on this planet Earth. More than what your mind can grasp is your intuitive senses that can be opened to see beyond all your restrictions. You have always had an opening to see beyond what you have known, and this has been purposely kept from you, and this is where you have heard rumors and stories about your nightly dreams. Your so-called dreams is your opening to your intuitive senses that will allow you, the personal you, to excel beyond what you have previously known. Everyone has intuitive senses, and very few people take advantage of what is possible by recognizing something more than their mind can understand. Creation has its place for all of us, and then there is all life, which is far more than anything than what can become with creation. Everything we experience is necessary for us to survive with whatever we choose and decide our life to be. New Kevin Smith is the great witness to something more than what can be taught and learned in any school. It can be so that when anyone first listens to Kevin's intuitive side experiences, also known as real side experiences, from what their personal mind has known, Kevin's manner of expression will at first be rather different to comprehend. This is where this introduction and reading the new books and Facebook groups will help. Have fun deciding. DUANE the Great Writer and Seer.
This real side experience would open up on a night scene. The overall setting would be the planet Earth and approximately around the present time era. For indeed, I would find myself driving not one, but 2 cars simultaneously. Somewhat of an oddity, and along a series of roads. An unusual happenstance, perhaps, that of the utilizing of dual vehicles, as though I were operating within both. They were maintaining relative proximity with each other, but for the possibility of what was transpiring here being purely symbolic. For although we will utilize means and mechanisms of creational traversing on the real side, the various technologies that have been decided, formulated, and created as ideas, consciousness installed, and then effected as simulated features that facilitate multi-dimensional travel, including vehicles such as cars and the like. Much of what we experience on the real side is seldomly what it literally appears to be on the simulated surface. For it is so that everything simulated is effected from ideas, the equivalent of computer data-like information that is rendered as graphics, and as ideas are rarely in isolation, as they generally will have other ideas in affiliation and association, including the ideas that is the consciousness construct that created the idea, as an idea cannot be absent of that which generates it. As we say, place a focus and attention, as we agree with the surface simulation, we are in essence applying agreement to not only the idea that effected it, but the entire idea package that anchors it additionally. And the effects we experience can be something other than we anticipated as a consequence. And where it comes to the real side experiences, as afforded by the real guides, much that they convey will be representational, and we can accrue rather a catalogue of real side symbology much of which will be consistently so, for those setting intent with ALLLISS recognition and undertaking their awareness processes. Any vehicle as featuring then is generally representing an idea, for it is so that as we agree with ideas, we are their effects, and symbolically, as we sit within the vehicles, especially if they are in motion, this would indicate our being delivered to the point of effect culmination through agreement with the idea that the vehicle represents. The idea's conception can be by the created hand of others, and where we are in agreement with them, we would find ourselves as a passenger, the idea creator at the wheel and dictating the vehicle's direction. And should we be driving the car, so this is indicative of the idea that the car represents, being by our creative hand, and additionally can the cars represent the various body vehicles from the astral to the etheric. In this case then, as I was simultaneously driving 2 cars, so this revealed 2 ideas that I had created and was as the effect of, traversing through the streets as I was, though somewhat difficult was it seemingly to retain control of the vehicles, as though I lacked driving prowess, that it was streets of the physical earth my ideas were accelerating towards the effects of, suggested ideas that were in association with the physical level, though in reality all idea formulation and creation will impact the physical at some point. Ultimately, I would crash both vehicles. I would, however, be unharmed, and on exiting, so I would take stock of my immediate surroundings. I seemed to be in an area devoid of streets and structure, an expansive field under the open night skies. I wouldn't be alone, however, as many other vehicles also would have crashed, their journeys terminating at the same location, and like myself, all drivers were unharmed, and interestingly, practically all other vehicles and their occupants were military, along the lines of army trucks, and with their drivers dressed in soldier garments. As I said, the representation was that of ideas, and as the vehicles crashed and were exited, this revealed idea agreements severed, though perhaps unconsciously so, as the various military people were bewildered as to their current situation, an agreement they may not have consciously elected to release. Impressions revealed this situation was associated with the consciousness restructuring in relation to humanity, an effort to reformat human overall consciousness that effected are more awareness beneficial circumstances for the human species, that as everything that befalls a species is dependent on agreement, humanity then are indeed receptive and open to that which may improve their overall experience as it would seem, expressing as the ability of others to make these humanity consciousness adjustments, but as humanity are generally retained as overall somewhat unconscious, they will be oblivious of this as taking place, despite being agreeable to it. It was a case then of certain ideas being removed or reformulated, the ideas humanity, in particular those of a more military persuasion, had been embracing, but now were no more, and bewildered were the military individuals as they were suddenly absent of a certain idea that had been prevalent in human consciousness. that I am part of humanity in this current lifetime, I then have taken on the human consciousness program, including the limitations and restrictions it comprises of, that as this consciousness restructuring takes place, this will be positively impacting also in relation to my created consciousness as it currently stands. That I was driving two vehicles suggested an idea to be released, though one not in isolation, and perhaps this may be so for others also, that according to their particular consciousness design, so there will be variation in the impact, the extent of consciousness reordering from one individual to the next. The overall consciousness restructuring is to facilitate improved humanity circumstances, for consciousness installed ideas dictate effected experiential simulation as I mentioned. Until this moment, so the controllers have ensured human consciousness design to dictate experience in relation to them, where subjugation at the hands of the dark forces can be perpetuated and indeed escalated. Fragmenting then the controlling and dominating idea agreements will afford humanity alternative circumstances than being perpetually under the reptilian lash, so to speak, more options and opportunity. For as I stood in the field with the soldiers, representing the overall military of humanity, the night skies above us would be filled with an assortment of various alien spacecraft design. I would give a voice to this situation during the experience to those around me that this was the alien Armada, for it has been revealed over a number of years and real side experiences as shared by myself and others, that a large number of various and assorted species have collaborated and formulated an Armada. The species involved all have elected to become more aware and embrace the journey of all-is recognition, and as part of their stepping up and contribution to the creational wake-up, so they are agreeable to engage openly with humanity and bring them ideally into their awareness becoming species confederation. This has been arranged by the guides, DUANE, agreed to by all species involved, and assisted in its coordination by the new friends. The idea being for the vast fleet of alien spacecraft, the Armada, to make their presence known on a global scale, their craft set to fill the skies of every continent for all of humanity to behold. Although, with everything based on agreement, as I said, this potentiality of humanity becoming as a part of this awareness confederation of a species can only be so in the absence of ideas that present as blocks and restrictions for this taking place. The controllers naturally would be loath to allow this to occur, wishing to retain humanity as their farmed slaves, and were overall humanity consciousness to remain as it has been, designed according to the controllers, this Armada event would be unable to take place, as absent of the idea of it, or with ideas that conflict and countermand it, so this cannot be humanity's experience. And so there have been many potential variations in relation with the Armada event, everything from it being abandoned to being delayed to taking place but only being apparent to certain humans, those who are releasing the consciousness of ideas via the awareness process, which would include those that the bulk of the personal self-immersed humanity are retained as the effect of, to only the certain awareness-embracing few being relocated by the Armada to alternative creational positions. Ideally, as I mentioned, is for humanity in its entirety to become as a part of the species awareness confederation, but for this to be possible, so must all ideas of humanity's collective consciousness be reconfigured, that this can be the experienced effects for the species. The overall consciousness restructuring operation, then, is in a tandem with the alien Armada, in that, if successful, so this event can take place, and the ideal scenario unfold. Impressions revealing this was the case here, that of certain ideas being released, certain restrictions alleviated, ideas that would have prevented humanity's experiencing of the ideal alien Armada scenario had they remained. The night skies filled with the array of varied alien Armada craft as I mentioned, indicating that as things currently stand, the ideal scenario, that of humanity in its entirety, able to be extricated from their current subjugated circumstances, and to become as a part of the alien confederation, was very much in place, as the current idea agreement prominent in human consciousness. For consciousness will comprise of every idea agreement that it will, every idea of which is in effect now in isness reality terms, but only certain of the ideas feature at any given moment, physical level-wise, the ideas being held to in prominence at each moment. For effected situations to change, alternative ideas must replace those in current prominence, but through the delay factor, as made so through the consciousness ideas of time and space, so effects are not physical level immediate as they are in reality, but rather process from cause to effect, much as we must experience, say, a movie from start to conclusion through our DVD players, though the movie already is completed and contained on the disc, and only if we maintain the current selected movie to a conclusion will we experience the final effect outcome. The idea agreement must be maintained in prominence over all others, that the culmination be reached physical level-wise, for should another idea replace it prior to the actualization effect point, it is the equivalent of exchanging the movie for another before we have experienced its end. Ultimately, then, what transpires as humanity's overall experience is according to what the species decides, the idea agreements they hold to. The controllers incessant in their installation of idea agreements into human consciousness that will effect express as escalation of controlling measures, depopulation, etc., DUANE, the guides and the new friends, continuous in their efforts in regards to idea agreement implanting of a beneficial nature, including the consciousness restructuring operation that is in conjunction then with the execution of the alien Armada event. On the real side, we always are shown then the current agreements at the moment they are revealed, and as this is the most recent of my views in regards to the Armada fleet, this then is the idea overall, that of success where the alien Armada endeavour is concerned in relation with humanity, that is being held to and processed to physical level effect conclusion, assuming it remains as the idea variation in regards to the alien Armada held to in prominence until its effect outcome. The scene would switch, and I would be within my deceased grandfather's house, though this would not represent his consciousness, as the recreated houses invariably do on the real side, but as I have shared before, my grandfather's house is utilized as a place of meeting between myself and the guides and DUANE, as I have shared on many previous real side experiences. Consistently will the guides also assume the outer form of my grandfather and feature within his recreated meeting place house on occasion, and this would be the case here. For the guide and myself would be watching the television, as being revealed on it would be the actions of a group of scientists who had discovered something of significance, long ago buried and forgotten on the Earth. The scientists wouldn't be Dark Force affiliated, but operating at the behest of the real guides, deployed to a remote, though undisclosed to my personal self location, and be unveiling what appeared to be very ancient, though very advanced technology. Impressions revealed this tech was placed eons ago for the purposes of it being found at a moment where it would be required, and although specifics were lacking, the acquisition and indeed activation of this ancient alien technology under the direction of the real guides that the scientists were in communication with was essential in regards to the alien Armada fleet. For the Armada is traversing through dimensions to reach the Earth, and it has been revealed to me that certain electromagnetic frequencies need to be managed to allow the fleet's safer passage. The road needs to be smoothed out, so to speak, and I shared on a previous real side experience that frequency adjustments were constantly being made that the Armada's journey be facilitated. This situation here, in regards to the utilizing of the unearthed ancient tech, was in relation to the smoothing of the frequency road for the Armada, as just another of many aspects and operations pertaining to the overall Armada event and the ensuring as to its success. As the television faded to black, now would manifest in our midst, in my grandfather's house, curious glowing orbs of light. These would increase in size and formulate as ethereal-like beings of an overall luminescent purple hue coloration. These body forms were now establishing a contact, possibly their glowing coloration that of a purple, indicative of their creational placement. Purple, the colour very much associated with the ethereal fifth life level dimension. They were also agreeable in extending their assistance in regards to the alien Armada event, beings that were very capable, as impressions revealed, though this scene represented the initial stages of contact with them, and possibly will develop at a later moment. And the scene would switch one final time, where I would be positioned on a glorious beach beneath the sun. Present with me would be DUANE and Ava, and we would be in a discussion in regards to what I have revealed in this real side experience, and that which is yet to unfold where humanity is concerned. We would be deliberating over future so-called operations and activities, physical level and real side, DUANE asking of me what I would want to be involved in, what I wanted to achieve, and my positioning in relation to life accordingly, etc. We discussed much. Not all would I bring back to the physical on waking for evaluation, and there the experience would end.